You're listening to the Golden Boot Podcast. Stay golden.
Well,
we're back. We're not sure exactly what happened. We're pretty sure that El Presidente sabotaged us and intentionally dropped the hammer and killed us. So if you would, please like and share the stream. We are back. We're going to finish up what we were talking about. We were just about to get into, I think we were going to talk about Alabama and Texas coming up. Mr. Tim Bailey is going to be at the game, and I'd love to get y'all's thoughts on that. Cody, are you going to be at the game too? No, I'm just kidding.
I didn't get credentials, so I'm not actually not going to be at the game. I'm going to be at game day though. I'm going to be in the atmosphere. I have been the last couple of days. By the way, I've been to some other college towns. Oklahoma's a really good college town. I've lived very close to Columbus, Ohio. Tuscaloosa is just different. It is absolutely something out of a storybook.
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy.
Bro, they built that area.
Yeah,
a lot.
And it's all Alabama football. I mean,
Yeah.
it's built different here, and my come away from this as an OU fan and wanting to see OU do well. I'm like, we got some catching up to do because Tuscaloosa is different, and I've been to some other college towns, and it's different from them too. So everybody's got some catching up to do. Tuscaloosa's different, man. Titletown, I mean, it lives up to its billing for sure.
Yeah, that Flowers is in a special place.
It is.
I'm kind of anxious to see how, with all the construction work, how the Olympic-style village turns out at Vanderbilt. Granted, we don't have the fan base that Alabama has.
Yeah.
But just to have that area set up like that, I think it's going to do wonders for Vanderbilt in the future.
Absolutely. I 100% agree.
Yeah. Well,
one thing that's really kind of funny. I went to Ramajamas and got a red cup there. Mm-hmm. And the red cup had horns down on it. That's not really so unfamiliar for me. it's red cups that have horns down on it. Definitely seen those before.
Yeah, I mean, it's just
never with the A on the front.
Sure,
but very, very familiar.
I think it can make its way on your show.
It's probably familiar to George too. I mean,
horns down. Horns
down on a red cup. On a red cup, yeah.
On a red cup, yes. On a red cup, absolutely.
Technically, it's a flag if you horns down at somebody, but it was really just a flag if you did horns down. Here's the worst part. Okay, 2019 Red River Showdown.
Yeah.
Here's the funniest thing. It's the time horns down would have been an ejection. The refs threw a flag before the game started that gave every single player on both teams an unsportsmanlike conduct. So if any OU player got flagged for the horns down, they would have been ejected.
Oh my god.
Yeah. That and I think they've already said in the SEC that ain't happening. Horns down is going to be allowed. So what do you guys think Alabama and Texas is going to bring? I know the atmosphere is crazy, Tim. I know you're staying at a historic hotel in Tuscaloosa. Tell us about that.
So I didn't stay at the Capstone. I did my show there today. Very nice people, man. They were really cool. I'm actually staying with Shannon Madden from Smacking Off the Podcast. He was very gracious and gave me a room for the weekend. Anything that saves a few bucks, I'm going to be going around the country. Shout out to what's his name? Who's the guy that gonna save that money? You know that rapper? No, he's Southern. He doesn't care about rappers. I get it. Lil Dicky.
Yes, I watched the show.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Lil Dicky. Yeah. Shout out to Lil Dicky saving that money, man. Absolutely. So, no, this has been a really cool experience. Alabama, Texas, though. I think there's an avenue Texas can win. I think that avenue is that Quinn Ewers hits deep balls.
Absolutely.
Quinn Ewers has struggled to hit the deep ball since he came back from that injury against Texas last year.
Yeah.
I will say he has done very well against teams that have a crimson-colored helmet. That's I guess his superpower potentially. I'm concerned about Texas' run game though, and I think they're going to need it in order to beat Alabama. And playing in Tuscaloosa. People talk about, oh, Alabama doesn't lose non-conference games at home, and I get that, but like, when's the last time they played a notable non-conference at home?
Sure.
Penn State 2011. It's been a long time, man. Like, so and that's not to say that they wouldn't.
Yeah.
It's just that they haven't really been tested like that in a non-conference game. And to be fair, they've been tested in the SEC. They've lost some of them. I mean, A&M got them in there. LSU's gotten them there a few times. But here's the thing. The thing for Texas is, on paper, they have a team good enough to win the national championship. They actually do. Like, absolutely do. The problem is this isn't the first time they've had that.
Yeah.
And then they flop. I mean, last season, they have a very good roster that included maybe the best non-quarterback in the country in Bijan Robinson. Right? And they lost 5 games. They even got a free win against the team that they usually lose to that didn't have a quarterback at all, right? And that's the only thing they take away from that season. Oh, 49-0. I mean, I get it. I mean, I guess if you have decades worth of frustration.
Yeah.
But, I mean, you go 8-5 with what they had. That's not great.
No.
That's just not great, and I don't know that they'll do better because they haven't proven they can. But they have on paper, they have the ability to win this game, and they have avenues to win it. But I think this whole Jalen Milroe's not very good narrative, and I think this Alabama is not the Saban era. Every time people say that, guy just wins 2 more, so people say, stop saying that. I'm tired of him winning everything.
Yeah.
They've been hearing it. You think that those kids don't hear that stuff? They don't hear that noise?
Yep.
You might get a real inspired Bama, and that may spell trouble because there is nobody that can block that big boy in the middle. Mr. What is his name? Quinn Sean. Defensive tackle. He played on the edge a little last week, though. Oates.
Oh, Jaheim
Oates.
Yeah.
They don't have anybody to stop him in Texas.
No.
He could be a game wrecker. Yeah.
And I don't remember if I remember seeing something that Alabama's starting running back is going to be out, but I mean they have like 6. So
no, that's Texas's starting running back. He's Cedric Baxter.
Oh, Texas's running back.
Yeah, he's probably going to play, but he has bruised ribs, so that means he's going to be on a count if he plays.
Well, they're really screwed then. Not that they were going to
run. They already weren't going to run the ball.
Yeah. No, I don't.
I mean, if Bijan Robinson and Roschon Johnson can only get 79 yards against Bama,
right?
I mean, that's paying.
Yeah.
Well, I blame Kenny for that information because he's the one that told me that, and then I didn't have time to look it up. So.
Any sources, man? They must have been off Wikipedia.
I know, man. It's golly, but whatever. Well, yeah, because Jalen Miller had 5 touchdowns. He had 3 in the air, 2 on the ground. Now, Texas is going to be more I feel like Texas is probably going to be more competition. But, I mean, you put up that kind of numbers, 3 touchdowns is going to be good for him. So I think we'll see a good showing. And I told you earlier, I think it's going to be a shellacking. So.
I think that's definitely a possible. I think that's something that's on the table. I think that we look at what talent Texas has on their roster, and we just assume it's going to translate. The Big 12 certainly has. I mean, do you see how many first teamers they have on the Big 12 preseason list?
Yeah.
I don't think it's that safe of a bet. I do really like their secondary. They've got really good players on the back end. So if Jalen Milroe isn't careful, that's an avenue for Texas. Yeah. Their defensive line is much better. And their tackles are very good, like on their offensive line. The interiors are a problem though, and that's why Jaheim Oates is so talented. He's so freaky. Even if they're able to shut down Dallas Turner, which there's a real chance that could happen. I think. They can't run the football, and Quinn can't hit. Quinn Ewers is 1 of 14 on his last 15. 1 of 14 on his last 14 deep balls. He was 0 of 6 against Rice.
Blame Kenny for
for whatever reason, this kid that has a lot of arm talent, it just hasn't worked. And I don't know what the reason is. He's got the personnel. You got James Worthy. I mean, there was some talk Worthy was thinking about transferring because for whatever reason it hasn't worked. And I don't know. If he doesn't start hitting the deep ball, Texas can't win the Big 12, let alone tomorrow.
So I actually think Alabama did something extremely smart last week. In the passing game, they were throwing these little dump offs and letting their wide receivers get out in space and make plays. They didn't show a lot of deep ball throws last week. I think Alabama comes out. I think they let Milroe air it out a little bit. Is something that Texas isn't going to be expecting. They're going to expect the little short dump offs like he was throwing last week. So you just throw it over their head. I think Alabama is going to – I think they're going to put it on Texas pretty good tomorrow. Because if they start dropping the safeties, that opens up the run game for Milroe to start running wild. I think they're in trouble.
Absolutely. I totally agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really, as much as I want to say, yeah, Texas is going to do it, I just can't see it.
Yeah.
And they haven't earned trust, right? And ultimately, that's what it is. I've had Texas fans say, because Oklahoma is starting to get respect. You know, they beat a team, not a very good one, but still an FBS team, 73-0. Yeah. And Oklahoma's starting to get respect, right? And people are like, well, Oklahoma was bad last year. And it's like, well, that was last year for Oklahoma. That's not the normal for them, right? Mm-hmm. They consistently turn in 11-win seasons.
We literally had a guy going in his first year of being a head coach.
Yeah, and he lost the Heisman Trophy winner.
Exactly.
I mean, the best player on – if you have Jalen, here's the thing, right? He made this graphic for me, right? Last season, the Red River schools combined 2-10 in games that were decided by one possession. Mm-hmm. They combined to blow 5 halftime leads, okay? That's not unusual for Texas in the last 10 years. That is extremely unusual for Oklahoma, right? So there's reason to believe Oklahoma is just going to be like, oh, okay, this is the 2011 Ohio State team where everyone goes like, huh? And then everything just goes back to the way it was. Yeah. For Texas, they got to prove it because we've been thinking that for 10 years. Mm-hmm. And they haven't done it. And it's weird because Texas, I mean, when I grew up as a young college football fan, the OU Texas game was the biggest game of the year. Sure. And those two teams were always good. That always had title implications every time. And that hasn't been the case for a long time. And it's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, real quick, I mean, are we all collectively saying that Alabama is going to win, or?
I got Alabama.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Do we want to touch on the Nebraska-Colorado game? And then, we can touch on Tulane, Ole Miss as well. Because the only reason I say that, Colorado's coming off a monster win of their program. I mean, we can say that, right? They won, one game last year, I think it was, 2 games. So, I mean, to go and, it was a back and forth. But Colorado looked really good against the runner-up of the national championship. That's a big deal. Hang on, Chris. Hang on. Let me finish. Don't pull a Kenny and block and blow me up here. In my opinion, Colorado really stepped up and really looked like a team that can really do something. And Nebraska against Minnesota, I mean, they had moments, but I think we're going to see a closer game than people think. So, go ahead, Chris. You can go now.
So Colorado gave up 40-plus points to a team that was replacing 19 starters.
Uh-huh.
They had 3 returning starters from that team that was in the national championship last year. That's not near the same team. And they allowed that team to put up 40-plus points on their defense.
Yeah, I will say this, though. I think you have to give some respect to Coach, though. I mean, TCU is going to be a team that's going to consistently have playmakers. Yep. Yeah. They got really good transfer portal guys. Yeah. Not ready to play enough. They should have won that game against Colorado, to be quite frank with you. I think there's an advantage, though, that has to be talked about. Not enough people are talking about. Maybe it's a little bit too high level, but there was no way for TCU to prepare for that Colorado team. Not only did they turn over 80 players, I mean, they got them from 24 different programs. You couldn't Sanders didn't bring over. He did not bring over his coordinators from his previous job. So. Yeah, they went in blind in this game, and obviously Colorado did not. And so that is something to factor in. I'm not saying that's why they won, but it is certainly a factor. It's a big factor because film study is one of the most important things about football. And when there's not a lot you can do, I mean, because you're trying to watch this kid that came from Kent State or this kid that came from Clemson and this kid that came from here and this kid that came from there. And it's chaos. It's hard.
That's a glorious comment. That is a glorious comment.
I did hear an interesting fact.
Yeah.
This week, there's been more money wagered on the Colorado game this week than all of the NFL games combined.
That's
true.
Wild. Wow.
That's just wild. But credit Deion Sanders for doing what he's done. He knew he pulled off that win on Saturday. He knew that Saturday night everybody was going to be talking about it. There was no NFL on Sunday. Everybody's going to be talking about Colorado. Monday's an off day. Everybody's going to be talking about Colorado. He took full advantage of that, and he promoted his team as he should have done.
He did. And I mean, it's definitely the Deion Sanders effect. Oh, here we go. The point spread for Colorado game has moved 11 points based off week 1. Wow. That is pretty crazy. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm going to definitely be watching that game. Another one that I think is going to be interesting is the Tulane Ole Miss game. What are your thoughts on that, Chris?
My thoughts on that is everybody's expecting a offensive explosion in that game because both teams can put up points by the bucket loads.
Yeah.
Are we going to be shocked if that's a defensive slugfest?
I actually expect that. I really do.
Yeah. I do too. And the only reason I say that is because everybody's going to expect 70 to 73 or some crazy number. But we know as fans of college football, the improvement from week 1 to week 2 is a mile in most cases. And I think Tulane was an offensive, juggernaut, and so was Ole Miss. But I think both of those programs' defenses improve. And I don't think we see near as many points because those teams are going to be back and forth. And honestly, yeah, Tulane has a good offense and they have a great team. But even though Ole Miss is in the SEC, they can't just sleep into a win on this one. This is going to be a tough-fought one for them.
Yep.
And I think I don't know what the point spread is, but I think this is going to be one to watch for sure.
Absolutely.
I can get you that point spread really quick while you go. Let me find that point spread.
Yeah, go ahead. Go
I
ahead.
actually got Ole Miss coming out with the win in that.
Wow.
And the reason I say that, I don't know if Tulane has enough defensively to stop both Jackson Dart and Quinshon Judkins.
Yeah.
I could be wrong.
They're not stopping.
But Ole Miss also, they arguably might have one of the better defenses in the SEC. So
Ole Miss is favored by 7.
7.
I think here's the thing with Tulane, and it has the same feel to me as like Utah does. Utah won 2 Pac-12 championships in a row, and it feels like for some reason we just always sleep on these teams that have proven it on the field, right? And listen, out of the three Power 5 teams that Tulane's played, they beat the last 2 and they're going on their 3rd. Ole Miss is the worst of those 3. I mean, the last year's Kansas State team would whoop Ole Miss, and last year's USC team would too. And they gave up like 500 passing yards to Caleb Williams and still won anyways. Ole Miss is a mid-tier team. They're a team that could either be pretty solid or maybe not make a bowl. They're in that range. There's a couple of those teams, Arkansas, and we don't know enough yet. I do like Judkins. They've got players, right? Arkansas, Texas A&M, they're all kind of in that mix. Which one of those guys is going to be good, and which 2 are going to, struggle to get to a bowl?
Right.
It's going to be 2 of those 3 are going to struggle to get to a bowl, and one of them is going to be very good, I think. Most likely to me, and this is going to make George happy, I think it's Arkansas is that team out of those three.
Yeah.
But Lane Kiffin in a game that's kind of high profile on the road, that's not a recipe for success typically. Lane Kiffin, not exactly the greatest pressure coach that ever existed. Tulane being -7 Ole Miss feels so disrespectful to Tulane and all the things that they've done.
Sure.
That South Alabama team might win 10, 11 games.
Absolutely.
That was a really good team that they beat in week 1. Maybe the best team in the Sun Belt.
Didn't South Alabama finish like in the top 3 in total defense last year?
Yeah.
So that
and another
to do what Tulane did against that defense.
Tulane has a slightly better quarterback. Wow.
I think that's a debate. I think that's debatable.
I think it's a fair debate.
Yeah. I mean, Jackson Dart has a higher ceiling.
Yeah. Sure.
But Michael Pratt, he's tough.
He's
experienced.
He's like the heart of the team.
Yeah, he's tough. He's experienced.
Have Tyjae Spears and shit like that.
Right. So and that's why I wasn't sure that I picked South Alabama to beat Tulane in week 1, even though it was on the road. And so, I'm just as much at fault as I'm saying right now. And I knew they had some guys drafted, which is crazy for Tulane. They had some guys on defense drafted. They had the wide receiver drafted. And so I was like, for a group of 5 teams, it takes a lot of very particulars to go just right for a lot of the 5 teams to be very good. But I think Tulane just has a program that's ready to be good. I mean, they might be able to find themselves in a new look Big 12 or a new look Pac-2 or whatever the heck they're going to do out there.
Yeah.
Tulane deserves a lot more respect, I think, than they're getting. I'm not saying it's crazy to think Ole Miss would win, but I expect a very good game. I picked Tulane on my show. I really respect Tulane. I think it's going to be a very interesting game. Sure.
I think Tulane is going to have a monster season, one that they're going to remember for a long, long time. Quick note before we go through, and I just wanted to throw it out here. You mentioned Arkansas earlier. It has been made official. Rocket Sanders is out for this game and possibly the next one. He is having swelling in his knee. I heard it today. So I don't know the severity of it, but it according to Pittman, he didn't sound too worried about it, but it could all be an act. So he will not be in this game.
Back there, how it feels like to have a sore knee. Just ask Snorlax back there what it feels like to have a sore knee.
Right, I know. I know. My good old pal Snorlax, boy, he can't even roll. He can't even walk. He's got to roll everywhere. Man,
in the new games, so what's funny is I don't know if you know this little nerdy side note. In all the games that have ever existed in Pokemon, Snorlax is his display image is him getting up, and now he's finally on his feet in the new game.
Is it?
So he managed. It took him. They said it took him like 25 years, but he finally stood up.
Right. Wow. 25 years and you finally stand up. I love it. Oh man. Well, I tell you what, we Hunter sabotaged us, and we fought back,
right.
from the darkness.
Some adversity tonight.
I blame him, and somehow it was Kenny's fault. I'm throwing it out there. Somehow
it's always Kenny's fault.
It's always Kenny's fault. Somewhere in there, he's probably not even watching anymore.
Beautiful singing voice by him tonight.
Oh man, you will never forget that, will you, Chris?
I'm speechless.
Look at that. All right. Well, before we get off here, let's get to our high school athlete of the week. We always try to.
We're not going to pick the Vandy weight game.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Okay. We will pick the Vandy weight game. Yes, we will pick. Can we do? We talked a little bit about it. Go ahead, Chris. What's the pick? I'm sorry.
So
I don't have my notes in front of me anymore. They all got blasted away because Hunter sabotaged us. Anyway, go ahead.
So I've noticed a trend.
Yeah.
With Vanderbilt when they play late day games. They come out. They're slow, and they come out and lay eggs early.
Yeah. Right.
Last year against Tennessee, they came out All they got to do is win a game. They're going to a bowl. Get beat 56-0. Against Hawaii, they struggled late. Against Alabama A&M, they struggled early. They just don't play well in late day games. I think the part of this that's not getting enough attention. They play at 11 a.m. Eastern time tomorrow. That's a 10 a.m. Nashville game.
Yep.
They're not sitting around the hotel letting thoughts creep into their head. If I don't do this, this is going to happen. They don't get a chance to overthink it. They get up, they eat their breakfast, they go play football. I think Vanderbilt comes out. I got them winning the game by 7.
By 7. Cody, your thoughts?
I agree. So Elon was able to get in the backfield a lot on Wake last week. Obviously, Wake should have won that game, which they won by 3 touchdowns. And this is going to be a little bit different, though. I think Vanderbilt's going to come out. I think they're ready to fight. I think that they're going to see 30 points again. I really think Vandy wins. Give me 31-20. Vanderbilt takes them to the slaughterhouse.
So you're telling people to really gamble because just so you guys know, Wake Forest is a 10-point favorite at home against Vanderbilt.
10-point favorite.
Let's go.
So
interesting number. Clark Lee is 7-3 as a road underdog.
Boom.
Like against the spread or like in win-loss?
Yes.
Okay. I was like 7-3. I'm like, that's a good Vanderbilt stat right there. 7-3. I'm like, they need to get themselves set up with that more often.
Right.
I was like, wait, hang on a second. No, they've been to road underdog at places like Georgia. There's no way that's true. I was like, okay, against the spread.
Against the spread. Yeah.
So I think that I feel like the Elon performance wasn't as good offensively. Defensively, Wake played really well. Offensively, you're a little disappointed, and they Elon had 4 sacks. They do have good defensive line at that level, but still. And their quarterback, who had an excellent game overall, threw a pick 6. So it made the game look closer than it was. It was more like it was a 37-10 type ball game. Maybe even a 44-10 ball game if he doesn't throw a pick 6 and they score instead, for example. I think as long as Wake takes care of the football, I think they're going to win the game. I think Wake is I think a little better, and they've got a really good coach.
Yeah.
How many sacks did Wake have?
How many sacks did Wake have? Let's see.
And that's the thing. Clark Lee, he doesn't shy away from it.
3 sacks, 10 tackles for loss. They're pretty disruptive.
Stat man. Love it.
They also took the ball away twice and 2 interceptions.
Yeah.
So
there you go.
Yeah, they had a pretty good game.
Stand by.
Yeah. And that's something Clark Lee does. He doesn't shy away from it. He says Wake Forest is kind of in that same group of schools like Vanderbilt is. You're not
smallest Power 5 school,
right? And Wake Forest has been the standard bearer for those schools for a number of years. Dave Clawson has done a fantastic job. First thing he did when he got there was create the redshirt program that Wake Forest never had before that. So when he has these good teams, it's always upperclassmen leading the way.
Yeah.
Right.
And Clark Lee doesn't shy away from saying, hey, this is what we want to be.
Yeah.
So
the Kansas State, this is the Bill Snyder formula.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
I
got Wake. I think it'll be a good game though. I think it'll be close. Probably cover the spread at least.
Okay. I'm gonna take a totally different approach to this. You ready? And this is just for you, Chris, because it's your birthday. I got to mess with you a little bit. I think we are going to see a slew of comments from Chris talking about his head coach getting fired in the first quarter. And I think by halftime he might be driving to Wake Forest to drag him out himself. That's what I say. And if that happens, I think Vanderbilt loses by 14. So,
okay.
We'll see.
And I
Mitch Griffiths, man. You think he's gonna have a big game then?
Yeah, we'll see.
I do get very mental when my team does not play well.
God almighty.
Or up to expectation.
I am so glad that those comments weren't going live. The amount of expletives that were coming out of off of I was like, dude, his fingers would not stop. His Clark Lee needs to get fired. He needs to stop doing. I'm like, dude, I'm about to mute this chat. If I hear one more thing about this daggum Vandy game, I'm about to mute this chat.
It was unacceptable. and that's what's funny is you can look back and laugh at your comments about it being unacceptable and
sure,
job on the line and 2-10 incoming.
Sure.
About a 47 to 10 win, you know?
Do that on purpose every time.
You get a win like that and your first half is unacceptable.
Yeah.
That means expectations have changed.
Expectations. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Okay. Now, we've got our picks in. Let's do the high school athlete of the week. Who is it this week?
We're going to let Tim Bailey do this.
Do it. Tim, check it out. Did you see this?
I did. Poor Will Hammond. Dude, I can't believe I messed that up for you because I already knew he's the Texas Tech commit.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a 4-star borderline 5-star quarterback.
Yeah, sure.
I can't believe I forgot. Very Patrick Mahomes-esque, so very perfect because Patrick Mahomes once lost a game to Oklahoma where he threw for 734 yards. Which sounds impossible in many ways. So.
Golly, man. I cannot believe.
I wonder what the other quarterback stats were in the game.
That's a great question.
Because, for example, the game I'm talking about, Texas Tech and Oklahoma played, and it was 66-59.
Yeah.
And Baker Mayfield had like 545 yards and 7 touchdowns, and Joe Mixon did something that you can only do on Madden, and it was wild. It was the wildest game I've ever seen. I about threw chairs and TVs. I've never been so angry after a win.
Oh, I bet. Man. That's nuts. You put up 800 yards in a game and you lose.
And 10 touchdowns.
God. What was the final score in this game?
Spencer Rattler, that Spencer Rattler mentality from QB1. He's coming, you fucking suck, you suck, you suck.
I mean it, man. That is just insane. Well, kudos to him. I'm sure that's not the last time we're going to hear from Mr. Will Hammond. That is just wow. Hopefully the next time he puts up those numbers, it'll be in a monster win.
For Texas Tech, maybe, perhaps.
Yeah, right. Exactly. For Texas Tech. Well, gentlemen, I think this has been a blast. What
His mom even caught a touchdown pass.
Oh, my goodness.
Tony.
Oh, good job, Tony. Good job, Tony. I love it, man. Final thoughts. Y'all got any before we catch out of here?
Yeah, I got a final thought.
Go for it.
So I'm going to go ahead and give you guys my upset prediction of the week.
Ooh.
Since I'm not going to count Texas State this week because I talk about them every week. I already said I think they're going to win.
Okay.
Upset of this week: Troy versus Kansas State.
Troy versus Kansas State. Okay.
Exactly. I like how I got quiet.
I just thought of something. We didn't give out the golden boot tonight.
Oh my gosh! Listen, Hunter messed up everything. We've just been. So... I'm not going to sleep tonight because we messed up this so bad.
It out. Do it.
Yeah. There we go.
The underdog gets the golden boot.
The underdog. I like it.
Yep.
I like it.
What happened to his eye? Is he all right?
Did he get punched?
Looks like he got punched in the eye and he came back to survive it, right?
Right.
He's got glaucoma.
That's pretty. You know what? All those teams did get punched. You know,
pretty much.
All those. Glaucoma. Well, except Texas State, they just beat the hell out of Baylor. That was wild.
Tony, you do get the golden boot, sir. You do. Yes.
Oh, absolutely.
Tony asked for the golden boot. What do? You just like grab you just put yellow on you put some gold on your finger when you block them from the page.
I know, right?
And the trend on that this week was Wyoming down 17-0 as a double-digit underdog on the road. They come back and win.
Yeah.
Texas State underdog on the road. They win their game. Colorado, a double-digit underdog on the road. They come back and win the game.
Yeah.
Pretty incredible story there. You had so many double-digit underdogs on the road that won their games. So that's where we came up with the concept of the underdog getting the golden boot this week.
Yeah.
Chris is setting it up so Vanderbilt can get it after beating Wake next week.
Hey, Vanderbilt beats Wake. It'd be hard not to get to him.
It'd be hard.
That's fair.
They would be the only team that's 3-0. It'd be the only one.
Well, not necessarily, because you got USC.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
that's right.
But,
they were week 0-2.
But you never know.
The only SEC team that's 3-0. There you go.
Stanford has a way of giving USC headaches.
I don't think so.
Don't be shocked.
So far. San Jose State's probably better than any of the teams. Wake Forest is better than San Jose State. That's fair.
Yeah.
I don't understand what you're talking about because I know there's a lot of 3-0 teams, so I'm sure this is like some sort of thing that you guys have. Like you're talking about certain teams. I don't know.
It might be. It might be.
Oh, okay. They played week 0, so they're going to be the only. Okay.
See, there
hang
you
on.
go.
Yeah. Okay.
There you go. There, bring it in.
That's
Tim.
all the
there
drive.
Tim, it's been so much fun hanging out with you. Where does everybody find you at?
So collegefootballdogs.com. I'm also the Tim Bailey Show, of course. We were just live from Tuscaloosa, Alabama earlier at the historic Capstone Hotel. Yeah. Really awesome place, man. I wish I was there right now because that's where the players for Alabama are. They stay there every night that they have home games. Super cool. The people there are super friendly and nice. I had an inappropriate joke told to me by like some 70-year-old Alabama fan that I can't. It is hilarious.
It's a family show.
We get canceled if I repeated what he said. So I'm not going to repeat it on air. Yeah. That being said, I think I'm going to be a little bit more involved in the Golden Boot. I'm not necessarily going to be a guest, but I'm going to help. I'm going to help you guys. I don't know if Cody's told you. Yeah, I'm going to help you guys with like organizing your segments and stuff. I have to do it like every day because I have to somehow get 3-hour shows together. So I'm going to try to help you guys with structure and. Awesome. I really like this. It's a lot of fun. So very barstool style show. It's a lot of fun. There you go. We figured it out. It took me a while.
Speaking of barstool, I've got a Twitter war going with barstool deacons.
Oh Lord, gosh! I'll be Tony says I'll be in charge of messaging. I think you earned it tonight, my friend.
Yes.
Oh man. Well, I don't have any final thoughts. I think we've ran every thought in the ground tonight. We've gone so far off the rails 150 times. I don't think we'll ever get sabotaged like we did tonight. Thank you, Hunter. And I'm sure he's probably just reeling over himself doing that. But it's okay. We forgive you. You know it wasn't on purpose. I just got to give you crap for it. So that being said, we're going to go ahead and sign off. And, we will catch y'all next week. Same bat time, same bat channel.
And I will see you on Sunday on Smacking Off, and then Monday again on my show. And then also I'll be on tomorrow. So I'm just a work mule, man. For college football dogs this week.
Work.
Pay him the big bucks, and that's why.
I wish. Eventually I'll get paid the big bucks. So it's a one day. One day
right.
We'll get there.
We all will get paid the big bucks. That's it.
Yeah.
All right, we'll see y'all. Take care.